Hey everyone! Okay, so it's time to start working on the wallpaper journal. And you see I've got some threads out here, a thread. I was trying to decide what color I wanted to sew around. So I've cut a piece of wallpaper just slightly smaller than the piece of cloth that I did on the jelly plate. Doesn't it match good? Doesn't I think that looks great. So what it's going to look like is this will be, well, I should have stayed that way. This will be just barely, I want some of that edge to still be seen, just barely. Okay, so that's gonna be the inside. This was sent by my wonderful friend Wendy at the Papered Rooster. She makes these, and this came in a package of different ones, the vintage, and then, oh gosh, this is the softest cloth I've ever felt. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's very, very soft. So she hand stamped these things, and there's also one that says journal. And I've kind of decided I want to go with the vintage, even though it was a tough decide because I'm still going back and forth on it. So you could see that, nope, because we're going to do the cover in this video, aren't we? Okay, so there's a couple things that I was wondering if you would help me with. And one of them is, well, I guess I should get to that step first, but I was going to say one of them was the closure. And this is a piece of muslin, and I'm noticing now that it's different color than this. That may not be what I want to do. But what I was going to ask is, should I leave it the muslin color or color it with my inks to more match this? Which, you know, that vintage, it matches that a little bit. And I could always distress this a little bit, I guess. I don't know if I really want to do that. Ugh. So, because that's so pretty. But, so that's one thing. I wasn't sure, should I ink it up or leave it plain? But now that I'm looking at it next to that, I'm not sure I even want to use that. I also have this piece, which is sari silk, and it kind of matches that brick, but the only thing I don't like is, see the edge of it? It's really pink. So I kind of have decided no on that. Before I sew my inside to my outside cover, I want to sew this down because I don't want the stitching from this to show on the back side. Now, I intended on this to be a fold over like this, and I was going to have it more of a fold. But because I want to use this, and I'm dead set on using it, I can't have my fold that big, or there's no room for my little tag. So I'm going to move my bend out just a little bit, which I think it's still going to look great. It's still going to be a fold over, and I'm going to put a bit vintage like this. Just like that. I think that's going to make a neat cover. What do you think? Does that look good? And this will be folded over. There'll be an eyelet here with a vintage French key, and it'll be tied on to whatever we decide, and it'll wrap around and go down in there. And we may add more to this cover. We may grunge up this cover. That was another thing. I also worked on the wallpaper. I did some distressing with a nail file, and really didn't have to do that because the stays on will stay on this wallpaper, even though it's the slick texture and not meant, I mean, it's meant to wipe off. Wallpaper is, like, if it gets dirty, you can wipe it off. But I did go ahead and rough it up, and it did give it some really neat texture when I did that. But that's not necessary. You wouldn't have to rough it up with the stays on. I used 3 different colors. I used saddle brown, claret, and the timber brown. I mixed them all 3, or no, that's not true. Spice chai was the 3rd. So these 3 colors is what I used to, sorry for the glare, to get this. this distressed look on that brick. And I wouldn't necessarily put it in line. I was just doing it to see what it looked like. And you know, this wallpaper is so beautiful, it really doesn't even need it. But I was thinking in spots like this where I thought maybe it was a little bit too white, maybe I would put a little bit there, kind of thing. So my first step is I'm going to sew this on. Then I'm going to sew the cover to the back. There was another step I wanted to do. I forgot. I also took that little Tim Holtz edger given to me by Karen. I still love that. Thank you so much, Karen. And I went across the edge to see if I could get it, if you know, if it really made a difference in the look. And it does. And I like the way it feels too, because the back of this kind of feels like cloth when you take off some of the front. And again, I mixed the claret and I think just the saddle brown maybe to get that edging. And I think I'm going to do that all the way around. I just, not that it makes a big difference, but I like the way that it looks. So I'm going to distress this up. And while I'm doing this, I'm also trying to decide, a lot going on with this cover in there, a lot of decisions. On the inside, the cloth, if I want pockets, I've kind of decided I want to sew them on before I sew the front to the back. Then I couldn't decide, well, what do I want my pockets to be? You know, I like sound. And I thought about using some of this. It's just packing paper that I've scrunched up and took my ink pad and went over the top. Kind of looks leathery. But then I thought maybe it would be a better idea to do vintage doilies as pockets in the corners. So a lot in my head that I want to do, and I'm not really sure which one I'm going to stay with, because I mean, once it's done, once the sewing's done, it's kind of a done deal. There's nothing, you know, I can't undo that part. And I just want to make sure that, I need to move this, want to make sure that however I do it the first time, too bad that I don't have nerve to go live. I would ask for your opinions, because probably by the time you give me your opinion, I'm going to have decided on something and finish this cover, right? That's what this tutorial is supposed to be. And when you use this little thing on wallpaper, it really doesn't tear the outside unless you go back over it, because what happens, it just kind of splits the front from the back. I'm wondering, because it doesn't really tear it, should I just take my scissors and notch some out, kind of thing? I think I like that. I think that will ink up real nice to do it like that. I'm just kind of taking out chunks of it, I guess. Not a lot, just enough to... And I don't want to do the whole thing. I just want to do pieces of it. Like that. Not sure that you can tell it yet, but once I ink it up, you'll be able to tell what I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this all the way around. And I will ink it all but a little bit where you can see, not like you need to know how to ink, but just to see what colors I added together to get the edge. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pause and distress the edge and ink it. I'll be back. What do you think? Can you tell a difference? I can, and I really, really like it. So in some spots, I got a little aggressive, and I actually tore it, which I loved that, and I probably would have left it, but I'm afraid that it will tear, you know, like away from the cloth. But what I did was I went ahead and inked in there, so it will give the look of that crack. even though I'm going to repair it and glue it back and all the things, I like the look that it's going to give, like there's actually a crack in the wall. So that was actually a happy mistake, and I have a couple of them. But so I just went around it just like that. I mean, really quick and easy. And I just alternated between the spice chai and the claret to get the color that I wanted. And in some places, I may take my brush later on and add a little bit more, you know, like where the really white spots are. But I really like that. I really think that that helped the grunginess of it. I think it, even though it's not in your face, it does to me make a difference. So, all right. And I was thinking while I was doing this, you know, I have some really pretty laces that will be here. And I'm thinking, and, you know, maybe I'll wait on those to do my inside cover, because I could certainly glue them with Fabri-Tac, but I always feel better if I can glue it and then sew it too, to make sure, you know, because they're going to be pockets. So they're going to get wear and tear and maybe some pulling. So for today, I'm not going to be able to finish as much, I don't think, as I wanted to be able to finish. And that's okay. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is figure out exactly where I'm going to fold this. Now I can't decide. I think I want that crack to be on the top. I really, really like that. So I'm going to do it like this. And I think I had it folded where this was going to be about 6 inches wide. So that it'd be about right there. And I can always, you know, reshape this. But this way I can kind of glue down my vintage piece. And so when I sew, it's not going to, I don't want it to move. I want it, you know, for sure to be in the right spot. I feel like maybe that's a little bit heavy on that fold. I don't think I had it folded quite that much before. No, I didn't. Plus, I think this is going to be more rounded. So I want to put it about right there because my closure is going to be just underneath it. So I think right there is where I want it to be. So I'm going to take just a little bit of Fabri-Tac and glue that down slightly. You know, I may not even use Fabri-Tac. I might just use my glue stick because I don't want it to seep through. This material is very thin and I don't want it to seep through. So I'm just going to put it down on the cover, I think. And you'll see it when I lay it down because it's blue, but it will dry clear. And I really just need it to hold until I sew it. So how is that? Is that too close? I need to move it over a little bit more. I think that's perfect. What do you think? I think I like where that is. So I'm going to sew right around the edge of this where this can stand up. I want that to stand back up once I get done sewing it. I'm not going to sew around the edges like I had planned for today because I really want, I think I want the pockets on the inside to be some kind of vintage doily or linens or something. And I don't really have what I'm looking for yet. This is my only crisis now. What do I want to do as far as the enclosure? Maybe I'll add a little bit of this color into the label at some point and it'll maybe blend in a little better. You guys think about that and let me know what you think. I'm going to go sew this and I will be right back. I shouldn't try to rough it up before I sew it, should I? Let it stay. Okay. I'll be right back. What do you think? Doesn't it look great? See the little edges coming up? I love that because we're going to have the same thing around the outside. I did dark brown, and I don't know why I'm struggling so much with this journal. You would think I'd never made one before, but everything I've done with this, I've I've done it just slow as a snail. I am 90 to nothing when I sew. I don't care if it's crazy. I mean, I just go, right? Not on this. I was just barely going. It's like, well, what is wrong with you? You act like it's the first one. But I've wanted to make an Italian journal for so long. And this one, I want to be really good because I want to use some of my vintage things in it. I want it to have beautiful ledger pages in it. And I just want it to be a real work of art. And I'm hoping that it turns out that way. Normally, I don't pull my threads through. I let them hang. But this time, I'm pulling them through because I don't know why. I was undecided when I turned the camera back on whether I was going to pull them through or not. But I don't think they need to be there. I think that this this is going to be grungy enough when I get done with it that it doesn't need those. So I'm going to tie these in a knot back here. And that's another thing I couldn't just that was another thing I couldn't decide because the cloth that I'm using to cover the inside with is relatively thin. So, and actually we're just going to do that right now. We're going to see. I was wondering, is this thread going to show through? Like, are you going to be able to feel it and see it? Or is my cloth thick enough that it won't? So if it isn't, I was thinking about putting something in the middle that would give it sound. No, you can't feel it or see it. It's good. But what do you think? Does it need something like packing paper or a bubble mailer to give it the sound? Or are we, I just kind of think I might want it to be a soft cover. Never made one like this before without all the things. So that's where I'm going to leave the cover for now until I figure out about the pockets on the inside. I'm really, really liking this so far. And I'm going to figure out what kind of papers I want to use for the inside. I know that part of them, well, hold on and I'll show you. Isn't this pretty? I just love this so much. I may have to grunge that a little bit, or it might be showing just a little bit too white. What do you think? And then also, if you don't care, I know that people don't have time for this. They're like, you're the one making it, figure it out. What about this? What do I want that like? I kind of, or do I just want to use something else? I don't know. Anyway, any thoughts you have on that, I would appreciate greatly. I'm going to grab some of the papers where you can see what they are. I've put so much stuff in here. Every time we made something for recently, with the gel plate, I knew I was going to put it in this Italian journal. While land's sakes, look at all this. It ain't going to fit in there. So part of it's going to have to go in the other journal, which has been found. It has been located. Uh, Surprisingly, I thought I put it in one of these waterproof pouches. I usually put my projects in a pouch. And I can remember going over there to get the pouch, but evidently I stuck something else in it and not the actual book. The book was just laying here on my desk, but it has been located. So some of these things will have to go in that book. So, but I love, there's a lot of ephemera, some pockets. I'm thinking these pockets will probably go in the other one, or I'm thinking they were more for the bright journals. We have lots of tickets that we made, and these little dangly pieces, love those. I guess maybe all I have is, I was thinking I had more We've made a lot of neat things, haven't we? This is a paperclip. That's going to be nice. Ooh, and there's a big, that's going to look, that's a good size that's going to go in that journal. That will be great. I thought I had papers. I didn't pull all this out just to show you the from ephemera. Okay, I do have some papers. There's my Italian papers. Let me put some of this back so I don't lose it, just like that. Okay, so this for sure is going to be one of my pages because I love this. It's rust / tea dyed. Got these papers from Wendy at the Papered Rooster. Here's some of that rust dyed paper. I may have a bigger sheet of it. If I do, I'm going to grab it. I don't think I'm going to use that sheet because I'm going to pull a lot of my ledger, my vintage ledger out too. That's going to be pretty. We're going to use that. I think these pages are going to be really, really nice. And I do think I have some more of this. So I may get another sheet of that. That's some pretty paper. But I might have a bigger sheet. I might keep these smaller ones for if I make another. I might keep that too. I'm not sure. I may make a different journal out of those papers. This one will be strictly antique and vintage with the Italian papers, not just the these kind, but I mean like books and ledgers, and I think that's the route I want to go. And I think I want to save all these scrapbook paper. I may grab some scrapbook paper still. I have lots from Wendy that's absolutely gorgeous, but I'm thinking I may make another smaller hinged journal with these. That was my plan. Here are some of the jelly prints we done with the brick on them. Definitely have to use some of those, don't you think? Yeah, let's pull out some of those. I don't know how many signatures this book is going to be. You know, I was sad about that one when I done it because I thought that was going to look too dark. But I really like that paper. I like that one too. That's a pretty one. Ooh, that's pretty. I was trying to see. Yeah, it does. That's the Distress spray, and it does wipe off. I like this one that's all torn. Okay. I don't know that I want every sheet. I've got 4 here. Do I want all of these? I guess it depends on how many scrapbook papers and ledger papers. I think I have some like document pages. I might want to do something like that. I know a lot of people say scan that stuff, that way you can use it over and over, and I will some, but some of it I just want the original ephemera in this book. I'm just crazy about this book. So that's where we're at right now. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you have some ideas of different kind of documents or pages that I should add to this on top of the jelly prints and the Italian papers. What kind of things would you add if this was yours? And I was going to show you that other book, you know, because I said I found it. It's gone again. That thing, oh, here it is. I started saying that thing does not, it can't be held on to. Here it is. But what I thought about doing with this one is, because I know that some people are going to hate this idea. And I'm not sure that I'm in love with it, but it was just an idea. So I got these, I mentioned before, I got these stickers at the secondhand shop. But these, and I know they're slickery looking, but these have the most beautiful colors in them. Can you see all the greens and the rust? And I thought, what could I spell with that? I thought amore, which means love. Maybe I could put that, just thought around A-M, around, spell the word amore. What do you think about that? Is that a good idea? Now, I hate to do this because I don't want it to accidentally get stuck. But like, something like this, and then dot it all the way down with the letters. What do you think? And these are really pretty. I know they're showing up really slickery, but they are really, really pretty little stickers. And they're just kind of like a tile looking. What do you think about that? Okay, so I know that I've asked a lot of questions, and again, I'm the one that's supposed to be doing a tutorial, and I've asked you how to do everything, but I really do value your feedback. And oh, one more thing I wanted to show you before we go. And I know we haven't really learned anything or done anything other than kind of put together my cover. So yesterday when I was hunting for this thing because I wanted to put I wanted to see what these little bags look like in here. And I had two small ones I really wanted to put side by side. I think some of the things we made yesterday, like these, will go well in that journal too. Maybe I only done one small one. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because I can't find it. But I really thought on these shorter pages, I had one that had something on it, like it was not a good writing spot. So I was thinking about putting one of these. Oh, maybe this on one of these short pages. Of course, that side is a good writing spot. I guess it's both good writing spots. So maybe I just screamed the fact that there was a sheet in here that was short and a good writing. Never mind. That would look good there too, wouldn't it? With all the purples and things. Or even this one, if it was smaller. It would cover up part of our labels. I hate to do that. On this side, it might be okay. What do you think about that? That looks kind of pretty, doesn't it? That just might go there with all the blues and that goes really nice. Okay, so good news. The book has been located. I think we're moving forward on this one. And I didn't really create anything today. I mean, jelly print wise, other than, trying to put this together, which I didn't even complete that. So I think I'm just going to say for day 18, I didn't do a thing. All I'm doing is asking you for your opinion on how I should put this together. I don't even know that this video is going to see the light today because I didn't tell you or show you anything. Oh, I'll have to post it because otherwise I won't get what you think about it. All right, guys. I hope something in this was helpful. Maybe inspired you to make your own Italian journal. We can do it together. And I think I'm so intrigued with Italian. I've always said, I'm adopted, so I could be whatever I wanted to be. I don't know. It's like when you go and get a dog at the pound. And I'm not trying to compare me with a pound. I'm saying if you don't know the background, you can create whatever you want. So I would like to be an Italian Indian. Is that such a thing? And I say that because I look very much, I do know that I do have Cherokee. I know bits and pieces about my family, just not a lot. I don't know their names or any detailed information. a very vague, you know, grandma looked like this, and that kind of thing. And anyway, a little bit about what they thought their heritage was. But I went way off track there. The whole thing was, if you don't know, you can be what you want. I've always wanted to be Italian, so maybe that's why I'm so infatuated with this Italian journal, and that was a bunch of information that nobody cares about. Okay, so thank you for joining me. Let me know your thoughts on the closure, on how, you know, the pockets on the inside. If you have any requests on the papers that will go inside, I just love these so far. And should I to color or not to color? That is the question. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I know this was probably a painful one. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Bye.